Morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. Today, we are in our second part of our model, real estate agents, million-dollar agent model session. Welcome to KW Malaysia trainings, virtual trainings. Quick question, those who are a guest, if you are not part of KW or Redfield, kindly press 1. If you're a guest here, from different companies or not in real estate yet or whatever that is, you are invited to join. Please press 1. If you're a guest here, please press 1. I want to welcome Eric. I'm seeing you around for the past couple of weeks. Well done. If you're a guest here, please press 1. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you for joining us today. We have a few guests here today. For those who have not read this book, right? So a lot of these conversations that we are talking about, it's based on this book. Of course, my binder version is a leadership version. It's a very cool version. I've got all the tabs here to kind of help me flip to which page for whatever. So it helps me to refer back to certain part of the book in order for me to learn something better or have some conversation or create training programs from here. So I read this book. I look at this book almost every week to kind of reflect and think through what are the things that we should be talking about from the market center level, from the regional level, and to an agent when I'm doing coaching. I want us to, if you have your books with you, right, look at page 133. Those are your books. Look at page 133. I believe it says model to your lead generation model. I just want to quickly read the top part of this page as a good starting point to kind of set the tone for all of us to try to understand where we are right now. Now, this in page 130, here it goes. As important as your economic model is, your lead generation model is just as important. Why? One relies upon the other. The two go hand in hand. Once you know how many appointments you must have, you know how to generate the leads necessary to generate those appointments. That's where your lead generation model comes in. Leads are like fuel to your economic engine. And here is the truth that you must never lose sight of. You can never have enough good leads, never. I want to point us all to two key sentences or two key statements here, that leads are fuel to your economic engine. In your business, if you don't have an engine or you don't have a system or a process or a way to consistently generate leads, you will not get sales consistently. I repeat, if you don't have a system or an ability or an engine that is generating leads consistently, you will not get consistent business. That's period. It's not about the skill. It's not about your conversational skills. It's about your intention of creating an engine that will generate you leads consistently. And we all know, in order to have quality leads, you must first have quantity leads, because the quality is in the quantity. So today in the lead generation model, you will probably kind of understand a little bit more. George will go through in depth how some of these models work, some of the tools that we have will support you in your business. Quick question, how many of you have been through lead generation model training? Because we did quite a lot of this during the MCO period. If you have, please press 5. If you have been through a lead generation model training of any sort, please press 5. Okay. Only 2, 3%, 4, 5, 6%. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Some of you have gone through. So this will be a refresher course. There is always repetition learning, right? The prescription for reading these books is, if you have read this book 12 times in your journey and your career, you have probably have a good self-mastery of this book. We went to Dallas. I think someone was sharing, he read this book to 78 times, right? Because every time you read this, you will get new understanding, you will get new depth, especially when you are being in the model, doing the business with this model. As you read this book a little bit more and you go through section by section, it will help you have better clarity what you want to learn. So without further delay, George, are you there, George?
Yes, I'm on the line.
Okay, George is our team leader, our regional training faculty. He will take us away and help us to get some understanding about the lead generation model. So George, take us away.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Can you all see my slides? If you can see my slide, just put a one. Or if you unmute yourself, just let me know. Okay. Today, the session one we are going into is a follow through. Maybe let me just unshare this slide first. Okay, there's about 120 odd people in the room today. Now, how many of you did not attend the session yesterday? Put a one. Because I think quite a number of you might have those that have not attended session one. Okay, there's a few of you that have not attended yesterday's session. Not to worry, because the sessions are actually not in a sense one. You need all four models to build a business, but the one session don't depend on the other one. So you'll still be able to follow through. Okay, let me just share the slides today, because today's session is quite interesting. We're thinking about an hour to hour and a half, and in between, I'm going to show a video of a conversation with Gary Keller, with someone to help them understand actually the foundation of Gary Keller and how this particular lead generation model is being developed. But on the slides right now, okay. Millionaire real estate, the second one basically is lead generation. Yesterday, what we did is that we covered we looked at these four models. We looked at the first model, the economic model first. Then we talked a little bit about the lead generation model that we're going to do today. And the today one, in the lead generation model, basically there are three things that you'll actually end up doing. The goal is basically to build your database and then systematically communicate to your database and then to feed it every day. Some of you basically would have actually started your database. Some of you might have not. Some are thinking whether you should. Hopefully, after today's session, you'll want to get involved and start building your database. And then we talk a little bit about a budget model. Because the budget model basically, in some ways, one is where you need to start in this shifting market. You need to know where your money is coming from. You know basically how much money you've spent and how much profit you have. Because if you want to survive, you need cash. And Jonathan said it, I think a couple of weeks back, in order for us to go in and survive in this market, the first thing basically is that you need cash. And then the second phase is basically moving into one in terms of stability and begin to thrive. That's where you need cash flow. And your budget model allows you to do that. Some of you have started moving into teams. That is the direction and strength of Gary Keller. They have all the structures to allow you to scale 10 times or 100 times from where you're at. And the systems and the models are exactly the same. So these are the four basic models that you need to look at to build a business. And today we're looking at the second model. We also looked at basically the foundation itself, or the three L's of the three L's and the four stages of growth. We talked about the importance of the first L, which is leads. Like what Jonathan mentioned in the intro, leads are like fuel to your car engine. Without petrol itself, your car cannot run. So you need lots of leads. You're never going to have enough of leads. The second L is going to be listings. You need listings. And the third one is that once you have enough leads and listings, you're looking at leveraging, whether it's going to be with people, technology, or systems, so that basically you can actually earn more and leverage on what you have. And then the fourth stage is the thinking, earning, net, and receiving. And yesterday we talked a little bit more into the thinking process, because if you cannot think $1 million, you cannot earn $1 million. And we walked through the economic model to see basically how to generate 250,000 GCI. Now, I did not go in to look at net. I just look at basically the gross GCI. If you can do 250,000 a year, that means in 4 years, you'll be able to go in and achieve $1 million. Sometimes $1 million will not be achieved in the first year, but it is basically as you go along. And success basically is not linear, it's exponential. That means you might not see success in the first year, second year, third year, and a little bit more in the fourth year. The fifth onwards one, your success actually can just grow sky high. That's the way that it actually works. So the four models and the three L's of the MREA, and get more information on it if you look at the book. Why is it important to look at lead generation? The statistics is being done by this National Association of Real Estate one, and it says this basically with the buyer and the seller, they did basically interview how many agents the seller can remember, and the seller mentioned that basically 76% can remember one agent and will use the same agent to help basically maybe look at properties that they're going to sell. And 16% two agents. That means everyone else basically, if you know after that one, they cannot remember. For the buyer, the percentage is about the same: 59% for one agent and 22% for two agents. And what it means basically, if you're not the first agent or the second agent in the seller and buyer's mind, they probably won't use you to transact their properties. So the key is basically how can you actually occupy the first and the second position in the seller and the buyer's mind. That's why I call it basically the mind share positioning. And lead generation is a way to allow us to be there. So when the owner wants to buy or sell the properties, we are actually on top of their mind. And we'll look through some of the ways to actually do that. So this one is to set the framework that the reason why we're looking at lead generation is because we want the number one or the number two position in the seller and the buyer's mind. Now this chart itself, some of you might have seen it, some might not have, but I think it's very important to set things in place. To have a successful business, which of the three areas must an agent be good at? And this one basically is divided into three lines. You look at a line basically on the right side, there's a dot there. And the dot basically is saying that this is basically when the agent actually closed a deal, and this deal, let's say, is $10,000. Every agent wants to close deals, and that's where most of us will focus on basically closing deals. How many deals have you closed this month? Very important to look at it. Most agents look at that. Now, this dotted line is saying that basically from the point that the consumer, there's a buyer and seller, actually close the deal, normally it takes about 7 to 10 weeks in this process here. Consumers seriously looking at basically closing it, that's about 7 to 10 weeks. Now, before they reach this line, there's the first stage here on the left side where there's a lot of lead generation going on, whether you're actually doing your open house, you're doing your basically a lot of prospecting work, the open house, you're throwing flyers you're basically going to Facebook, anything that goes in on the left side to lead generate. After you lead generate, got the leads and the contacts, there's a big gap between lead generation and actually the closing. That's where the follow-up comes in. In this follow-up stage is where if you don't have a database, then you're not able to systematically follow through with the client. You will not be able to know exactly when the owner wants to buy. So it's very important to understand this, because this is how successful business are built. Now, my question for you, in the left side one is number one, lead generation, follow-up, and then the third one is transaction closing. Which of the three areas must an agent be good at? Now, those of you that think basically you need to be good in all three areas, type 3, 2 areas, type 2, and just 1 area, type 1. Let's see basically what are some of the thoughts that you have. As an agent one, or as a business person, do you need to be good in all three areas? Okay, we have some say 1, some 3, some 1, all 3. Vincent mentioned about 3. Raha is 3. Think through basically, is it possible? Is it really possible for an agent to be good in all three areas? Rai mentioned 1 and 2. Benny mentioned 3. Lead generation, follow-up, and transaction closing. You know, recently, basically, I heard from one of the team emerged one of a dynamic lady closed, I don't know, it's 3 to 5 deals within a period of 1 month.
7 deals, George, in a period of 5 days.
7 deals in 5 days. Wow.
Value at 12.9 million.
Do you think she did a lot of lead generation and follow-up on that one?
I think so.
You'll be good. You'll be good to follow up with the person to find out basically how did the person actually do that. The answer to this one basically is saying that to be successful, Jason Abraham, the one that came up with this chart, says this. Basically, you need to be good in all three areas in order to be successful. Now, it doesn't mean that basically one person do it all. You might have a team that comes in to help you to make sure that all these three areas are properly done. Okay, but to be successful, you need to go in and make sure that all these things are done at the same time. You cannot be good in lead generation, but not follow-up and not closing. And those that are doing in closing normally are also good in lead generation and follow-up. Now, the other thing to consider is that in order for this to happen, normally there are 3 things that is required. And this must happen in order. That means you must basically have a model and systems in place. You must also have the technology in place, and you must have a person in place. And you must have it in this order. Most of us basically don't start in this order. We go in and start with maybe a person. And then we figure out basically, what technology is the best for us to use. And then hopefully we'll follow a model or we'll do it our own way. And that's where the economic model we shared basically is important to, when you start to have a stable one, where you start with a model and not with creativity. Most of us basically, when you start a business, including myself, start with myself and then figure out what I'm learning, but then add a little bit of technology involved and eventually come up with a model and system. And what the red book, the MREA book is saying, that you need to do this in order. In order to be successful as a business person, you need to have the model and systems, technology, and person. Now, Jonathan, just maybe since you're online, I know you're also very good in this chart. Now, is there anything that I missed out or you want to add on in terms of what I just shared?
I think in order for us to know where we are, we have got to ask ourselves or get someone to audit our business. So if you go back and you reflect on your business right now, and you ask yourself this question, what is the one thing that, or that two things or the three things that you're doing is constantly bringing you your best leads in your lead generation section? So you can see there are three components here, right? And you're supposed to be good at all three components. So the question now to identify is, which one starts first? And a lot of times I see agents, they go straight and figure out how to close deal first. But they didn't figure out how to get the leads. And they didn't figure out how to follow up. But they focus on how to close deals first. And there's so many trainings in the market today talking about how to close the deals, how to convince the buyer to buy, blah, 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 blah. But the thing about it is, if you don't have leads coming in and you don't have a systematic way to follow up, there's just not going to be any closing. And the natural thing is this: in order for you to be good at closing, you should have a lot of leads and a follow-up process to teach you and to help you how to consistently have conversation with clients that will lead them to closing. So the closing part, basically, it's putting into practice your lead generation and your follow-up. But the closing part, it's not difficult once everything else comes in place. I always think that the closing part is the easiest part because it is the natural. And the unnatural thing is to be more aggressive in getting more follow-ups to close. That's the unnatural part. But the natural thing would happen if your lead generation and your follow-up is right. So I always say that agents should look at these three things and say that these three things are critically important. But where is the starting point? What needs to start first? Is it learning how to, is it closing deal starts first or lead generation starts first? So when you know where it starts, right, and you focus on that and you master that, and you master the follow-up, in my opinion, lead generation comes first, follow-up comes second, but it has to come hand in hand, and that will lead to the closing. So that's what I've been seeing right now. Good agents, why they're closing 7, 8 deals, 5 deals a month? Because they've got great lead generation models, they've got excellent follow-up models, and naturally they will close. And they will use skills and techniques like lead analysis to close the transaction, right? So this is what I'm seeing right now. Back to you, George.
Thanks, John, for sharing on that one. Now, how do you normally manage your database to follow up with your clients? This question basically for some of you, basically I don't know how seriously you think about it. I've been in industry for 15 years and I'm still struggling with figuring out how to manage my database. Now, for you yourself, how do you normally manage your database with your client? Do you have a system? Are you using the phone? Or have you actually gone in and looked at the Excel sheet to manage your contacts? Or actually, are you using some of the software out there that can actually help you manage your database? Because if you are actually using some of the software to manage your database, there's some expense there, but you realize actually there's a lot of advantage in having a system that's able to go in and allows you to know how to work through and follow up with your clients. Very important. But think about it. How do you normally manage your database to follow your clients? Because that's where we are moving towards, that all of us must follow our clients well. See the gap just now within the line, if you look at the lines that we have here, the follow-up is very wide. Lead generation here and then at the back is closing deal, but the follow-up itself could take years. So if you don't have a good program to follow through, you won't be able to know where the clients actually want to buy or maybe invest in other properties. I'm going to take now. we're going to look at a video. And this video basically is an interview with Gary Keller for about 10 to 15 minutes on how he goes in and look at lead generation. Now, when you go through this one here, I want you to take a piece of paper and then write down some notes. Because if you don't do that one, you will not be able to follow. And after this one here, we'll take some time to dialogue a little bit, because this is the philosophy of database management. Why do you need a database? If you don't understand this, if I give you a system, you might not know how to apply it. Now, if you understand the philosophy behind it and why basically this is important, then when you actually do lead generation and look and the database itself, then you know. And this one, when I watched it, it was like an aha moment for me. I realized where I went wrong and what I need to improve. Okay, so make sure you get your, if you're there, get your coffee, get your tea, get a piece of paper, get a pen, and we'll basically start and watch this session together.
Chris, so you just finished your lead generation course.
Yes.
And did you enjoy that?
Yes, I did.
Good. Good.
I do have a question for you.
Okay.
The course spent a lot of time talking about contact database management, and I don't understand where that fits in. Also, Gary, I understand that's where Keller Williams was built.
Sure, absolutely. And it's still built that way today.
Okay. It seems like a really mundane task, but the book talks about it quite a bit.
Right.
Can you tell me more about that?
Sure, absolutely. Think of it this way, Chris. Sales is an activity. If you're going to build a sales profession, however, you're going to have to build it on contact management. A sales profession is contact management. Now, when we talk about contact management, we really have two broad issues we have to deal with. One is when you meet someone and you want to remember how to get in touch with them later, or you want to market to them consistently over time, how do you set that up? The other issue you're going to have to deal with is if that same individual also says in 3 months, I want either a list or buy a home, how will you consistently know to stay in touch with them so that you're there with them when they need to make that decision? How do you do that naturally? Well, we call that contact management or database management, okay? Keller Williams was built on actually this box right here. I've dusted it off for this video, but I went back and pulled out the actual box I used in 1979. Now today you have technology, and we'll talk about that in a second, but I'm going to encourage you that you start your lead generation program to build your career on a box. And as quickly as you understand the concepts and you understand what they do for you, then I'm going to say go for it. And whether that be in 30 days, 60, 90 days, or a year, I'm going to say then, once you understand what you're trying to achieve with the system, then go sit down and analyze the different technology options, programs that are available today that will help you do this a lot easier and a lot quicker. Because technology will do that. But one of the mistakes that a lot of people make is they jump into technology too quickly and they don't really understand what it's supposed to do for them. And if you do understand that and you want to go ahead and go with technology, that's fine. But I'm going to encourage you to wait just a little while.
What I don't understand, Gary, is, well, I can understand the concept of a file system, but I don't understand how I'm supposed to use this on a day-to-day basis. That's what I'm struggling with.
All right. Well, can I just go to the box and open it and just talk to you about it for a second?
Sure.
Okay. So if, essentially, this is my business. I want you to think of it this way. When we hear about professional individuals outside of real estate, doctors, lawyers, and you hear about them selling their practice, what are they selling? Well, they have some equipment and all that, but ignoring all of that, what are they actually selling?
Well, I imagine their clients.
Right, their client database. Okay, what if they hadn't kept one? What if they hadn't nurtured it? What if that was just a loose bunch of names that people had done business with them over the years? Okay, that's going to be very different than an attorney or a doctor or a realtor, such as yourself, who has taken the time to actually build long-term relationships with people through what we call contact management and database management. So I want you to think of, at the end of the day, this is your business. This box, or again, later it's going to be in a computer, but this box for now represents your business. This is it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the way that contact management works is real simple, and it's easier to demonstrate, in my opinion, with paper than with a computer, which is why we're doing that today.
Okay.
But here's what's going to happen. Now I'm going to actually teach it to you the same way I learned it, okay?
Okay.
I have a degree in real estate. I came out of college in '79, and this is the way they taught me to do it. This is the way I did it.
Okay.
First thing is, and actually for this class, or for this video, excuse me, I actually unstapled business cards and unglued them, so these are actual 1979 cards.
Wow, vintage.
Yeah, like you care, of course. But it was cool for me, yeah.
Yeah,
Vintage, they're even, yeah, they're a little discolored. These are actually the same cards right here that I used back in 1979.
So you've got cards that have letters.
Let's go through that.
Okay.
So here's what, let's start this manner.
Okay.
To get this system in place, I'm going to encourage you to have 2 different colored cards. And it doesn't matter, just 2 different color ones, okay? Then you're going to need cards that say A through Z, okay? Just as easy, A through Z.
Okay.
Okay. Then we're going to need cards that say January through December.
Okay.
And then we're going to need cards that say 1 through 31.
Okay.
Okay. Now, with these 5 elements, 2 different colored cards, A through Z, January through December, 1 through 31, we're ready to go.
Okay.
So here's what happens. You're out prospecting, marketing, lead generating, and you meet someone.
Okay.
And let's say that individual says, no, we're not interested in doing business today of any type, but you know, in 6 months or a year, we might. That's a prospect.
Okay.
Okay? So what we do is we immediately, when we get back to the office, we get all the data in whatever form you want. If you carry these cards with you, you can just write them on the card. But you get back to your office, you're going to fill out 2 cards. We're going to make the yellow one our permanent record. Okay? So we're going to write down all the pertinent information about them: name, address, phone number, email, address, everything, and any other data that we need to know about them, birthdays and things like that. We're going to write all that down.
Okay.
And this is a permanent record.
Okay.
We're going to alphabetize it by their last name. We're going to take it and we're going to put it right here, okay, in the A through Z.
Okay.
Turn around, but I'm going to stick it up right now.
Okay.
We're going to file it right there.
Okay.
Now, so if ever I need to know what their phone number is, or address is, or anything pertinent about them, where do I go?
You go to the yellow card.
There it is. Yeah, I know exactly where it is. I go to it, pull it out, and there's everything I need to know. It's always there.
And then I would imagine, as I learn more about that prospect, as I develop a relationship with him or her, I keep adding
Sure, it goes to the
the
permanent
yellow
card.
card.
Sure, it goes to the
Okay.
yellow card.
Okay.
Yeah. The nice thing about technology is this card, and by the way, I want you to notice why my cards were so big, right? Because a lot of data and stuff that I put on them.
Yeah.
But a computer is just even easier and can handle a lot more information than even this little card. So depending upon how much you wanted to add over time, there's some software programs that do a wonderful job of just building and building on that. They give you a lot of space to do that, okay?
Okay.
But the big cards really worked well for me getting started in my lead generation program.
Okay.
So we've created the permanent record. Now, the other card, the white card, is going to be my ongoing contact record with them. So I'm going to put their name, address, and phone number here, and probably email address there.
Okay.
And maybe the names of spouse, kids, or whatever, just so I have that there. And then I'm going to write the date, today, and I'm going to say, met, had this discussion. They said that they would be needing to talk in 6 months to a year about, let's say, selling their home. I'll write that down. Bam.
Okay.
Okay? Now what do I do with this card? Here's what I do. I go through, and let's just pretend that today is January 1st. And 6 months then is going to be around June. So what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to put it probably in February or March, but probably February. I'm going to give it 30 days or 45 days or whatever. I'm just going to drop it behind that month.
Okay.
Okay? And we're done. Now what's going to happen is I'm now going to roll along January, February, March, April, okay? I'm going to roll along, and come February, the first thing I'm going to do at the beginning of the month is I'm going to go to my February card, and behind it I'm going to pull out all the cards sitting there.
Okay.
And hopefully we're going to have a big stack of cards.
Okay.
And as I go through them, I'm going to find their card, and it's going to say, they said, you know, they might be doing something in 6 months. That would be June of this year.
Okay.
Notice it's in February. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at it and I'm going to go, do I need to do anything with them this month?
Okay.
It's a reminder. We call that a tickler system, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's called tickling the files. So what I'm doing is it's going to pop out automatically, and I'm going to say, do I need to do something with that? If I do, then I do it. Okay. Call them, write a note, drive by and see them, whatever. I do whatever I think I need to do. If I look at it and I go, nah, you know what, that would be bugging them, or I actually ran into them or something, or somehow I have knowledge or an opinion that isn't it, what should I do? Well, I'll just put it in March.
Okay.
So I just bump it if I don't want to do anything with it. If I do something with it, then I keep it in my stack, and that's the group of cards I worked this month.
Okay.
Okay?
So you only use that once a month?
What, the card filing system?
Yes.
No, here's what happens. Now that we've set the system in place, let's go one step further. Let's say, for instance, that I have another person that I meet, and I have my permanent record. I fill all that out. I file it under the permanent record. But this person needs to buy a home, or something needs to happen next week.
Okay.
Or I need to follow up again with them next week.
Okay.
Okay, what do I do with that? Well, I fill out the interim card.
Okay.
Okay. And I pop it under January, but notice I have 1 through 31 in here.
Ah.
And 1 through 31 is sitting behind January. So I now pop it behind January 8th.
Okay.
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 So what happens is that in the month that I'm in, let's say it's January, the month that I'm in, I actually have the 1 through 31 behind that.
Okay.
And I'm moving the cards through the month.
Ah, okay.
So I'm working the 1 through 31 all month long.
Okay.
Okay, just a simple little system. If I have an assistant, that individual's doing the same thing. If they know of things that need to happen or need to be done, they drop them in behind those days too.
Okay.
Okay, with a client or customer.
Okay.
Not tasks, just contacting or doing something with a customer.
Okay.
But if they know of something, you need to call the Jones next week and blah, 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 fine, they can move that card too.
Okay.
And they go in, they move it, and it pops up, and they go, oh, Jones, blah, 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 here I need to do.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So this is a great way to say, oh, we've sold them a home, the next thing we need to do is get them pre-qualify on Thursday. Well, let's say Thursday is the 5th. Bam, I put it behind the 5th. I take care of what I need to now, put it behind the 5th, it pops back up.
Okay. So you don't have a special section for customers, a special section for prospects, a special section for past customers.
No.
They're all treated the same as you work your way through.
Sure, it's just my customers.
Okay.
There's no reason, there really is. I actually tried that, and that didn't work well at all for me. They're my customers. Now, here's what happens. This system does two things for me.
Okay.
Number one, it helps me create a database that I then implement, let's say my 33-touch program or whatever, farming or
8x8?
Sure, 8x8. Any of the programs that you're implementing to market to people over a long period of time, it's the A through Z file. You pull it out, and that's what you market to. So think about it. Every month you're doing two things with your file. One is you're marketing to your A to Z.
Okay.
Whether it be 33-touch or whatever. The other thing you're doing is you're actually working through the individual relationships, contacting them as they need to be based on their need. All you did was put people in a database and market to them every week or 2 or 3 weeks. You've only done part of it. Okay. And I see a lot of people do this. They simply create the permanent database, market to it, but they don't follow up. And one of the biggest complaints you hear about professional service individuals, not just in real estate, but just professional service individuals in general, they don't follow up.
Yep.
I get a newsletter from them, but they never seem to pay attention as if I'm anybody unique.
Okay.
Right? I get their newsletter, I get their mailer, I get a generic voice message, maybe from a telemarketer or something. But they're never addressing me. Well, that's because they're not working off of that professional is not working off of a white card.
Sure.
That professional is simply working off of a yellow card.
So it's really mass marketing. There's nothing personal about it.
Well, the
When you
yellow
have one
card represents mass marketing, yeah, that's what 33 Touch and all this really is it's about direct response mass marketing, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
It's taking a large database and literally, like we teach in our classes, is like dating these people over time. But the thing is, it's not really personal. We have to attach to it as well the white card, which is the ongoing, what do I need to do now? So essentially, if you think about, we can probably wrap this up by saying that if you think about contact management or database management is, you should always be moving the car, the game is always moving the car forward, right? It's always, and even if you sell them a property or whatever, or sell their property, you don't throw away the card, the white card. The white card says, now what do I do?
Yep.
You would be amazed. People even moving out of city or out of state, keep them. Write down their new address. Call them up every 6 months. How long would that take?
Yeah.
All right, any other questions?
Boy, I can't think of anything.
All right, good.
I really appreciate you taking the time to explain this to me.
You're welcome.
I
Good
heard you
luck.
were the master.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Now, what are some things that you learned that you can maybe share on the chat box? Is it helpful? Do you have any questions about what Gary just mentioned in that video? I saw the one that Jonathan mentioned that this is KW command in the, Charles mentioned KW command in the box. And this one basically is the context, smart plans, and tasks, which is right, because some of the things are being implemented, but you need to know how it functions. What exactly is database management?
Can I ask something, George? Many people think that system is technology. And that's where the confusion lies. A system basically is processes and steps that you do certain thing consistently on a daily and consistent time frame. The technology is the tool that houses your system. Let me repeat. A system is not a technology. A system is a process and steps that you do consistently to give you consistent output. And so happen, some people prefer to use manually, some people prefer to use technology as a tool to enhance and to lock that system in. You've got to understand that first. So a lot of people come to us and say, hey, this technology is not ready, this technology is not good, it cannot help me close deals. It is not supposed to help you close deals. The technology is supposed to help you manage your database so that you can close deals. Does that make sense? So if you don't have intention to stay in relationship and manage database, then you won't close deals. Is that clear? Is everyone understanding what I'm trying to say here? That's essentially what it is. So Gary Keller demonstrated this. I think it's the early 2000. I think that video is the early 2000. And he was already using a manual way doing it. They already have many technology systems that's happening right now. And he made it very clear that don't go to technology first if you don't understand what's your system. Because the technology will be the tool to enhance and help you make the system even more effective. Does that make sense so far? So I think I want to bring that up because I think many people confuse, system is technology. Is not. System is the way you do things systematically through steps and processes that is consistent through action and time. And technology is the tool to wrap up the whole system to make the system enabled and more efficient. So instead of having 1 or 10 contacts done in 1 hour, you can do 1 or 10 contacts in 1 minute. Does that make sense? So that's what technology can do. Right, back to you, George.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John, for sharing that. Because once you automate the process, eventually the system becomes very efficient. But for now itself, most of us don't have that many contacts to follow up. So it's important to figure out how to keep track of what we have. Now, just a quick summary of what we just saw. Basically, Gary Keller started with these 2 questions. when you meet someone, you want to know how to get in touch with them later. How do you make sure that the information is kept somewhere? And the second thing is that if the same person also says in 3 months' time, I want to either buy or sell a home, how will you consistently stay in touch with them so you will be there when they are ready to buy? So most of us basically, it says operate from the yellow card. So it basically says there's two cards there. One is a yellow card, which is a permanent record. This is equivalent to the contacts that you've keyed in on your phone. Whenever you get a contact, you key it into the phone, there's a yellow card, permanent card with all the relevant information there. But most agents don't operate off the white card. So the white card is where you go in and begin to think through a process where how do you follow up with a person every month? How do you follow up a person if it's 2 weeks from now? So the yellow card basically is A to Z index file, which most of us already have. So in terms of lead generation, the first thing is to go to your permanent record, your yellow card or your phone database and download into an Excel file. And once you download to an Excel file, that's where you need to categorize them in a way that is meaningful that you can use them. Because if you don't do that, you'll never be able to go in and follow up with the clients. The second thing basically is the fact that, I don't know about you, but very few of us will basically carry that big box around us when we go for viewings, right? And you won't carry those papers. Everything needs to be in your phone. But to do what he's saying, you need to keep that information and carry like a shoebox. It's not practical. So how do we go in and do carry the white card? That's where technology will come in. So the white card, there are two index that I mentioned. One is to keep track on the month date. Basically, the person goes from January to December every month. And that's where the smart plan comes in. You can go in and decide basically if the person wants in and say, I want to buy in 3 months' time, you have a plan to follow up with the person for that 3 months. If the person wants to go in and buy within 1 month, you can follow up with the person within that 1 month and how many touches you need to put in. But in the old system, he uses basically an index card January to December, and behind the index card, he has a day card 1 to 31 to make sure that he goes in and slot. And the goal is to move the contact forward. So that's how a system actually works. So if you don't have any technology, then go to a Popular and other shops, buy index cards and use the system. So at least you can actually manage your contacts. But if you have technology, understand why, then there is the advantage. I hope that's helpful because that's helped me understand that the problem is today, most of us operate off the yellow card, but we don't have a white card in place.
And George, the yellow card is our phone book on our phone.
Correct. That's all we have, and we're struggling because how to use that. It's not organized.
An agent, when they have too many yellow cards, they don't remember what's happening because they didn't use the white card.
Correct. So the key is the fact that we need to figure out how to go in and use that so that we can actually go in and do that. That's why we cannot do any campaign or follow-ups with our clients very well. Now going in, because we want to go in a little bit in lead generation, but this portion I thought is important because it's a mindset. You must understand why lead generation is important, because it's to gain the number 1 and the number 2 position in the seller buyer's mind. And we need to go back and look at our database and start getting it organized, because if you don't organize it, you cannot key in into any technology that you have. And we go in and also yesterday we talked about the economic model, because the economic models basically comes back and show you your business plan. If you want to go in and make a profit of 100,000, 60%, we talked about a GCI of 250,000. An average commission of 10,000 per deal, which means to hit my goal, I need 25 units to close every year. And then we went further to talk about the fact that with 25 units, based on conversion rates that we have, I will need 100 listings taken and eventually 200 listing appointments. So the key now is that if I'm going to have 200 listing appointments a year, how many leads do I need, and how can a lead generation come in to help me get those appointments? Because if I can get 200 appointments and I can convert at 50% then to 100 listings, and as I go in and convert them to, and close them, I will hit my goal. So that's where lead generation comes in to support the economic model. I know exactly what I need to do and the numbers that I need to hit. Your economic model helps to identify how many appointments you must have to meet your goals. Then you have to generate the leads necessary to obtain those appointments. Like what we talked earlier, leads are fuel to your economic engine. So we need to go in and do that. How many of you have attended this session by David? If you have one, just put in a 2, because I felt like the session was one of the best session for me. Because I learned so much about the database management and lead management. Now, some of you, what I'm sharing today could be a bit of a repetition, because I felt like what he shared is exactly what you all need to hear. So if you don't understand what I say, my encouragement is go back and listen and watch that video again, because he shared a lot of things that's very insightful. So I go in, and also yesterday we talked about success leads clues. These are people that are doing it correctly, so we can learn from them. And a few take homes that I have when I watch that video is this. This is what David mentioned. There are some people who are more important than others in his database. And where I see the line of separation is their intent. When they intend to hire me as their real estate agent, I want to communicate with them more intently and systematically over the next 1 year. So our database could have a lot of people in. What he's saying is that of all those people, some of them are more important than others. And to differentiate between those that are more important than others, basically is their intention. Will they hire me as their real estate agent? And if they want to do that, then I need to have a system to communicate with them more intently and more systematically over the period of 1 year. Because within the 1 year, they're going to buy, I just don't know when. The other thing they shared is also that we need to build a healthy database so you don't have to call someone you don't know. Most of us don't like to do cold calls or call people that you don't know. And the same with him, he says that if you have a healthy database, you don't have to do that, because you'll get business from people who know you or refer people they know to you. That's the goal that I have, that eventually the database that I have is clean and organized enough that I will be able to get business from those people that I know. If they don't have business, they can refer people to me that can actually give me business for that 1 year. The other thing they mentioned is each client will give you multiple transactions in their lifetime that will fit your business. And this is a very important thing, because I don't have the statistics, but one of the agents just shared, basically, if you look through, every client will buy multiple properties or refer properties for you. So each client is just not one transaction. They might buy from you now, but in their lifetime, each of the clients can give you multiple transactions. And that's why we need to go in and follow up with our clients so that they can actually fit our business. It was an aha for me when I heard that multiple transactions from one client. You don't need a big database to generate 100 deals. So depending on your goal. So if your goal is 25 deals for me, my database be 5 times smaller or 4 times smaller than his. And he shared the 4th script, because this is also important, because how do you follow up with your clients and engage with them? And that's why he gave the example of 4th script. Talk about your family, your occupation, your recreation, and dreams, okay? So when you go through, I encourage you to always write down what you learn. Like today's session, you're going through. What did you learn? Yesterday's session, what did you learn? Because if you don't write down, you cannot remember after today. So tomorrow I ask you basically, what did you learn from George, yesterday? You might just remember the word economic model. And today you might remember the word lead generation model. But what did I actually share that actually change your life or change your thinking, that you want to take action to do something about it? If there's something that you learn right now, write it down, because that one becomes an action. And we learned yesterday, basically, action itself is the one that produces the result. Results don't produce result. Action produces result. What you do will make a difference in reaching your goal. If I can say this, stop watching the video, go and do your lead generation. That could be the most important thing for you. But for today,
George,
stay on.
Can I just add one thing here?
Yeah.
You mentioned about each client will give you multiple transactions. I want to quickly share a story personally that I've been through, and I want to make this point very clear. Now, a lot of us, when we have a client came from an ad, call in, we showed them the property, and they bought something from us. But the process of buying from us, what are the conversations we have? This is one client I will always remember for the rest of my life, because when I had one conversation with him, I found out, I asked a few questions. There are so many questions that I always ask, but these are the 3 questions. Why are you buying? When do you need to buy? What's stopping you from buying? And this question, when I asked him, why are you in this market? There was this guy, his wife is probably younger than him. He's about in his late 50s to early 60s. And as I was asking him a question, he said, no, my kids are growing up. I've just sold my listed company. Now I have some cash. Great. So why are you buying? Oh, I'm buying to just put money in assets so that I can just pass this on to my next generation. Great. So when would you buy? You know, looking at right now, if I can buy something right now, I will buy. I asked the third question. When I found out that he has just sold his listed company, you can actually go and Google and go figure out what company was that. There will be press release. And I found out that he actually took back cash about 30 to 40 million ringgit. The third question I asked him, I didn't say what's stopping him. I asked him, I modified my question. I asked him, so how many would you like to buy? How many of you dare to ask a question to your client, how many would you like to buy? In that 2 months, he bought 7 properties from me. I devoted my life in that 2 months to serve them. I spoke to his wife. I spoke to him almost on a daily basis. I spoke to him more than I spoke to my mother and my mother-in-law. Why? Because he was giving me, in fact, he bought 9 properties, 2 he brought from another agent. I only sold 7 to him. 3 months later, I sold another 2 projects to him. So in total, I sold 9 properties to this couple because I asked questions, I have conversation, I managed my database, and I know what they want. I served them. So that was one of the most exciting journey in my life in 2009. By understanding that clients do buy multiple properties, and guess what? He refers so many people to me after that. How many of you would like to sell 7 properties to one person and work 2 months with them? There are actually a lot of people like that right now. You're just going to ask them questions. If you don't ask them questions, you don't know. And how many agents, actually, you know what? He didn't call only me, you know, because he's a smart guy. Rich people are very smart people. Those people who can buy more properties than me, who can earn more and have more money than me, personally, likely they are smarter than me. And he's not going to listen to me without checking around. And he called so many other agents. But I wonder what the other agent asked him. Why didn't they ask him how much and when they want to buy, how many they want to buy? So I asked him, these 2 other units I couldn't get for him. So I asked him, so did you buy from the same agent? No, 2 units bought from 2 separate agents, 7 bought from me. So the question is this agent that sold him 1 property didn't know he actually bought 7 or 8 more. Didn't know. That's how simple it is. If you have this perspective and you have conversation, ask the right questions and go through the consultative process, and then you manage your database this way systematically, you'll be surprised how effective you are. And it's not that I'm a super nice looking guy, K-pop style, I know how to talk properly. That's just not me, but I just ask the right questions, right? So I just wanted to put that story in front here to share with you guys, asking questions and thinking that, and having that perspective that clients will buy multiple transactions. The difference is they don't buy multiple on the spot. They don't buy multiple. In my whole career, that was probably the one time I had 1 client like this that bought multiple from me in a short period of time. And some of you maybe have more, but generally, a majority of them would buy something or sell something in their lifetime. Last question again. The first question, why are you looking to buy? Second question, when would you like to buy? Third question, what's stopping you from buying now? The fourth question I added was, how many would you like to buy? He was laughing when I asked the question. He said, you are the only guy that asked me this question. How many would you like to buy? Right? So back to you, Josh. I thought I would take that opportunity to share that story.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. Huh? Yeah, because I say a lot of you, if you think through one, you would actually have owners or landlords that actually give you multiple listings. You know, because how many basically you have owners that you have rented his property over the last 5-10 years 4 or 5 times? Because tenant move basically every 1 or 2 years. So I'm sure you have clients like that, and those clients that have actually gone in and you have actually rented the properties multiple times, they should be called VIPs, very important people, because they are part of your business plan, because they'll definitely go in and refer you, and their properties or other properties, you'll do that. In fact, I've got a gentleman that just called me yesterday, you know, basically in 70, I mean, pretty much close to 80s already. So I'm selling one of his land in the Bukit Jelutong one. So of all the agents that he calls, I'm sure he calls a few of those, but he remembers me and called me and say, Josh, basically, I just go in and mow the whole place. So he sent me a picture, continue to market a property for me. So if those contacts you have, make sure you keep in touch with them, because they're very important. Now here one, this is a chart. Now I'm using this chart instead of some of the older charts because I feel like this chart basically is the one that's closest to the KW command that we'll be using, and a lot of the terminologies are similar. So we use, and I believe that the MREA, the version 2 that's coming up, probably we have some of these terminologies. So I want to use this to help us to understand the lead generation model, which is today's topic. Understand basically the why is important. Now we're going to look at basically the model. All agents business is broken down into 3 categories or 3 buckets. The first one basically is lead generation. On the diagram, you see lead generation on the left side. Lead generation is on top, and you have the database. And then on the bottom there, there's sales pipeline. So all agents business are broken in this one here: lead generation, database, and sales pipeline. Most of the time when we talk about lead generation, we talk about everything, all of them all together. So I might break them into 3 sections. Lead generation is the top one, and that's where it involves prospecting and marketing. The middle portion is where is the database, where you capture and then connect the people together. And the last portion is where is a sales pipeline, where you learn to cultivate and work the process through. Okay. Now let's look at the first one, the lead generation. Lead generation is the most important everyday business activity, and it's broken down into 2 categories: prospecting and marketing. Now, basically, you realize that prospecting basically is where you go and find a person. Marketing is the person comes and find you. Prospecting is where you go in and knock at the door at the person. Marketing is where the person comes and knock at your door. So prospecting basically is a lot more hard work. That's why they call it door knocking. Go and knock on doors to get prospect. But today, there are a lot of different ways to do that. So the activities and things might change, but it's also categorized under prospecting and marketing. Prospecting is more intense. Again, it's more hard work, but marketing itself generally reaches a mass. So the goal is, whether it's prospecting or marketing, is to capture the information and of the client and enter into your database. So the sole purpose of prospecting and marketing really is not to close deals yet. It's to capture the information. Now, if the prospect that you actually reach or the client says, I want to buy today, don't ask them to wait and say, let me hold your information first, and then I will talk to you tomorrow and see whether you want to close. So the purpose, if the prospect is ready to buy now, close it on the spot. So this one is a funnel, but the goal is that look for prospects or clients that wants to buy now. But those that don't want to buy now, buy in the future, you learn to follow through. So basically, lead generation is prospecting and marketing. Make sure they capture the information of the clients so that you can work with them. Lead generation normally is divided into the 2 M's, the message and the method. And we just talked about the method over here. The method is prospecting and marketing. That's it. And to do prospecting and marketing, that's where you need a time block so that you know basically the permanent time in your schedule that you're spending time to lead generate, so that you basically go in and get the result that you want. So when you time block, you do 3 things: you prepare, you take action, and you maintain. And we'll cover a little bit basically towards the end what exactly is prepare, take action, and maintain. Once the method is there, you look at the message. So this message basically is one. Now this is, I'm not sure who is in the group, but if those in the group can actually help me, because there's a person I wanted to come in and share, but the person wasn't able to join us this morning. Because what I wanted is to look at a project that he had to look at understanding this, because the message itself basically must match the market, and then it must make an offer. And what it means by matching the market is that it depends on the market. Now, if your market itself, you look at the people that's staying in that area and then look at the market condition. So today, what is the market condition of properties actually over in Shah Alam side? And if you want to sell, a project, basically Elmina in Shah Alam, closer to Dana Alam, further up there, if that is the market they're looking at and a new area, what kind of people will actually go in and buy in that market? And what offers can you make to get a direct offer or an indirect offer? Now, maybe some of you might be more familiar with projects you can help out. How is it possible to actually make an offer and buy a property for $1 and get $1,000 on vouchers back? How is that possible to make that kind of offer? A direct offer, $1 to buy a house, and you get $1,000 back. So when you look at the message, basically you need to learn to match the market and make an offer. An offer is either direct, So if you're actually going to look at owners, are you going to buy the house now? And indirect offer means that, you know, can I send you information or a market report that tells you a little bit about the area you're buying, so that we can actually send that to you. So that's indirect, but also asking the person for a direct.
Hey Josh, I think a lot of market, message right now is, hey, this offer for MCO only, limited time only. Owners are keen to sell. Owners are very keen to sell. We have keen buyers that is keen to buy at this kind of value. That's the kind of messaging that I think is going to work and attract people. If we don't change our messaging, but we use the same method, it doesn't work because it's not reaching out to the right people. So a lot of times it is not about what you do, it's about how you do it, right? So the messages that you reach out to people has to trigger and resonate with them in this season. So if you want to look for a good listing, or you're looking at lead generating for a good listing, don't go tell owners right now, I can sell you at the highest value. You will get owners that want to sell higher value. Does that make sense? I may say that, hey, I have ready buyers that's willing to buy in this current market. Can I advise you on your price? Can I be your advisor about your price in this challenging market right now? Would you get people that is genuinely wanting to sell? I think that messaging is more critical. If it's a buyer, I've got many choices for you to choose. And these are the top 3 that I have. That is only available during this crisis. This opportunity comes because of this crisis. So that's the kind of messaging that we need to be sharing and talking to. The language and the terms that, the language and the communication have to be in this manner, right? Just want to share that, George.
Yeah. Just you know, like John, because this morning you shared the fact that basically in Taman Tun Market 1, it is still a very active market and it's still possible to close deal. Now, in that particular market, where it's a higher end, and under this market condition, how is it actually possible for one person to close 4 or 5 deals?
I have an agent here who is focusing in Taman Tun. I can't recall, I don't think he's closing anything yet. He's now working on some deals. Naki, are you there, Naki? Can I have virtual support? Can you, Naki, would you mind unmuting yourself? Just a few questions, and maybe it's a good time for you to showcase what you're doing in Taman Tun right now. Can someone unmute Naki? Virtual support. NAQI, Naki. Can someone unmute Naki? Naki, you there?
I am. Hi, John.
Hey, Naki, how are you? Naki is a new agent that has joined us in Market Center 1. Naki, tell us about what you are doing right now in Taman Tun. What properties do you sell in Taman Tun?
Before this, I focused majority of my listings in condos and apartments. Now I'm focusing on getting more leads for landed and especially double-story and bungalows in Taman Tun.
Okay, so Naki, we were sharing in some of our conversation, and I know I didn't prepare you. I hope you don't mind, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to showcase what you are doing and also get someone to call you if they're looking for Taman Tun properties. So, Lucky, what's the number of appointments are you getting on a daily basis right now?
At the current moment, I'm getting on an average, this is after Raya lah. We're talking after Raya. It's around 3 to 4 appointments daily.
And these are viewing appointments, right?
Correct.
How about listing appointments? Are they both same?
Listings probably on an average, probably 3 per week.
3 per week, you get a listing appointment, and every day you're getting 3 to 4 viewing appointments for rental and sale of secondary market. Am I right?
Correct.
Was there a day that you got more than 4 to 5 appointments?
I did.
How many appointments was that?
It was 5 or 6, if I remember correctly.
What kueh raya did you eat that gives you so many appointments?
A secret, special secret. It's a family recipe kueh tat.
But what's happening? What's driving you having those traffic of appointments coming into you right now?
I think, to be honest, number one is the listings that I have. I have a few listings which is below market value. That's number one. Sorry, you guys can hear like all the babies.
Okay, Don't worry,
my
don't worry,
house.
Don't worry.
don't worry, don't worry about it. And you say you have a few low value, but very good value buys in the market, listing in the market right now in those areas.
Correct.
Okay, and that's
So-
generating majority of your appointments.
Majority is coming from there lah, because at the end of the day, like the current market situation now, people are looking for the best value. So I think if you have any which is below market value, like for example, your competition is selling at 700, but you have a property is selling at 630, people will always go at the 630 as the cheapest one first, definitely, right?
Yep. But you
Yeah.
will show them a few, right? You don't show them one, you show them a few, am I right?
I showed my whole collection.
You show your whole collection. Awesome.
Yeah.
Can I ask, are you getting call-ins from ads, or you are also following up and getting and trying to prospect as well?
I am prospecting as well, because majority of them are prospecting, like old leads who were looking before, probably last year, they are looking for a cheaper price. So majority of it was older leads.
So you collect them in a database and you've been calling them, even though as far as 1 year ago, and that is generating you 3 to 4 appointments right now.
Correct. I'll just rephrase what you mentioned, a database, yes, but it's not a database that I want, because you know, John, I'm having problem with database as well, but I have an Excel that I keep in place just to ensure, like, you miss a lot of database. I think database is really important, organization of database.
Yep.
I think that's one of my weaknesses, but I'm trying to improve that. But if like you correct all your phone, WhatsApp chat and everything, you will see, hey, there's a lot of leads that I can, just pursue, push to them.
Yep. Are you working on any deals that you're negotiating right now?
I'll be honest. I'm actually trying to close 1 or 2 within the next few weeks, because I've been receiving offers already, so it's under negotiation process.
So meaning in the past 1 week, you have a few offers in the play already right now.
A few offers and then frustrating offer withdrawal as well. So it's part of the experience, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Naki. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well, guys, how many of you in this chat room right now would like to be like Naki, having 3 to 4 appointments a day? If you yes, if you are, say yes. So here the work that Naki is doing. He's going back to his database. Number one, he's looking for the message of the day, which is good opportunity to buy unit that is below price. He is very strategic. He's smart in going out to Taman Tun. So now if you are from Taman Tun market, if you're looking for Taman Tun properties that is below market, you call him right now. Go to workplace, look for his number. Yes, if you get his, Naki, if you don't mind sharing your phone number on the chat box here, so that some of the agents who are not part of Redfield also can get your contact. They will call you. You go and find listings that can write that message that this is a value buy right now. He's getting 3 to 4 appointments right now because of the value buy listings that he has, and he's having 1 to 2 negotiation done in this week. How many of you would like that? Do you think it's a good thing? Right? So it's not complicated, guys. It's just a lot of hard work and a little bit of thinking through what's a value buy in your market. Okay? Back to you, Josh. I hope I helped you with this session. I didn't know Naki was on the line, but I thought it would be a good opportunity.
No, I think it's good because I was trying to get another guy to come in to actually help with that one, but the guy was actually working very hard last night, couldn't make it this morning. But the idea is the fact that you saw that in an area one, if the agent is actively looking at that area and lead generating, the person will be doing prospecting and marketing, and the rest of the process to follow through. So the second thing is, once you have the prospect and the leads ready, what do you do with that? Your database is your business. So you will keep all the information of the people you have and put it into the database. So here, one is number 2 and 3. You have leads and you have contacts. So the leads basically a one-way relationship, and the contacts are basically a two-way permission-based relationship. The person has given you permission to actually go in and talk to the persons a little bit more. So the leads part basically is tracking and offering because it's a one-way. So your offer-based touch programs or your smart plans and go in to work with the person to get the person a little bit more interested, to convert the person in a sense from leads to actually a contact. So contact means that the person already given permission to work with him. And one example is that if a person visits an open house, you know, or on the day that you have it on, when a person visits open house, the person is a lead. The person go in to find information, but basically it's a one-way. So when a person left and then the following week one, you call the person and ask the person, basically, you came from an open house. How was it? Are you interested? Can I help you with other properties if that one is not suitable? Now, if the person picks up the phone and start talking to you, the person basically now has given you permission to go into a relationship where you can help him. So you have moved the person from a lead to a contact. So the goal in our database is that you have both leads and contacts, is to convert from lead to contacts, so that you have more contacts, because those contacts are the ones that are given permission to go in and add value into their lives. Okay, so very simple portion, leads to contacts one, and basically keep filling the funnel, go through and move the person. Now, some of the people that comes in and they say that the contacts, the person say, if I want to buy a property within 6 months, that contact itself, you don't keep it in contacts, you move the contacts into cultivate. Because the cultivate is where it's still a funnel, but the funnel is closer. That means this person wants to buy, but they're serious to buy within the next 1 year. So you have to nurture and qualify the leads, the contacts a lot more. Whereas the contact at number 3 is where the person wants to buy, but maybe over the next couple of years, but not immediate. Once they know that the person have intention they want to buy, then you move the person into the cultivate. So the difference between contacts and cultivate is that the person, there is an intention to buy, or the owners have an intention to hire you as the agent to help him with his property. I hope that's helpful, because that is, we build a database and systematically communicate with them, moving them through the funnel using the 19 to connect and 36 to convert. Some of the language that we use basically is 8x8 and 8x8 or 36 touches is very similar to this one here. Let me show you another chart. This one, some of you will be familiar, because the goal of actually building a database is to move the people into the inner circle. The overall strategy is to generate leads and building relationships and moving people into the inner circle. The inner circle is the allied resource, or the one that David called the VIPs, very important people. And this allied resource don't have to be people in real estate. It can be real estate, it could be in the legal profession, it could be your bankers, people that basically you know that will give you business or refer someone to you. So they are very important people. And they are also part of your MET group. So you have the inner circle, the allied resource, where you're spending one-to-one time with them, a little bit more attention for them. The MET one is basically where you begin to work with them and use the 8x8 or 36 touches, or in this case, we're looking at also using the 19 to connect or 36, because you realize at this point in time, people are very distracted in this world. So you have to connect with them more times than before. Whereas in the past, 8x8 is enough or 33 is enough, but today, you know, you need more than that, because they are constantly bombarded with a lot of messages. Under the MET here, basically you need to have your past clients, a sphere of influence. So today, if you're starting to work in a database, I would say start with your MET group. That means the 2 circles. Work with your VIPs, work with your past clients that have bought properties from you, you've sold their properties or you've rented their properties, and then work with your sphere of influence, that people that actually you know, that knows you, likes you, and trusts you, and then they actually go in. They might not know you personally, but there's a bigger circle there. Once you've exhausted the area, then you begin to move to the target general or public groups. This one is have not met now. So the people they have met and the people they have not met. Now, you need to do both prospecting and marketing. You need to go in and cover the met and also the have not met group. But the priority at this market shift is to focus on the people that you know. Why? Because the conversion ratio is easier. For a MET group, one, for every 12 people you meet, you convert 2. One basically will buy from you, the other one will refer from you. That's why we don't use 6:1, we use 12:2, because, but if you divide by 2, it's actually 6:1 ratio for a MET. For have not met the people that you don't know, the conversion ratio is 50:1. For 50 people that you talk to, one of them probably will be interested to go in and have an appointment with you. So it's a lot more challenging, and you need more skill to convert at a higher level. But the quality is in the quantity. I wanted to share this chart because it's an older chart, but this is at least give an idea, the 8x8, the 16, and the 12 direct, where actually you can apply it. And the third portion in the lead generation model is the sales pipeline, the bottom part here, where someone have an intent to hire me as their agent, they become more important to me. They will buy over the next 12 months. So I move them into the cultivate stage. Now, this is where most agents have trouble. They don't follow up and cultivate the relationships. They got distracted with someone who wants to buy now within the next 2 months. Someone they want to buy now, you forget the person they want to buy basically maybe 6 or 9 months later. And later when you're done with the buy that you have, you continue, because you don't have a system, you're not able to follow through. So this is where most agents have trouble to follow up with the clients at this cultivate stage. If you have a database organized, this is where it'll help. Now, if you have a good database and you really follow through, then you earn the right to get into an appointment, to have an appointment with this person. And if the person is interested and then they become active buyer and seller. And you follow through, eventually the listings will go under contract and then you close it. So once you close it, that particular contact goes back to the database where you continue to feed it, nourish it, take care of it, that eventually the person will have will buy multiple transactions from you. So that's really how the overall lead generation model flows. 3 basically buckets: lead generation, database, and the sales pipeline. Top one is a prospecting marketing. You continue doing, you don't stop, so that you have more leads coming through your funnel. You capture the information, the leads itself, you learn to try to convert them from leads to contacts. And then those contacts that want to buy within the next 1 year, you move them into the cultivate stage, nurture them, qualify them to the point that you earn the right to have an appointment with them. So once you have an appointment with them, you'll get the active buyer and seller. You basically work on the properties, you market it, and then you go under contract, eventually you close. Of course, going through the process, like what we just heard, it can be painful, it's a struggle, you will get rejections, but that is a process where you begin to improve your skill and convert at a higher level. So I hope this is helpful for everyone to look at this from that perspective. The issue that's left is basically how do you define a quality lead? Because sometimes we don't know where the person is at. When do you know if the person is deciding to sell or to buy a property? Anyone have any ideas in the share in the chat box? How do you define a quality lead? How do you know if the person is ready to buy or sell? Is there any way that we can know that the person is ready to buy or sell? Okay, Cashway says you ask them. Okay, if you ask them only if they call you and say they want to buy or sell. If they don't call, you won't be able to ask them that question. Any other ways to find out when the person is ready to buy? Client call frequently to check. Now, Susan, the client call frequently, or you call the client more frequently? Big difference there. Huh? Ask questions. Again, if you ask questions, you will follow up with them. Client called me, so really the answer is that you will never know exactly when the person wants to buy. The only way to find out basically is that you follow up. And you have been hearing a lot about this chart you have seen. It's maybe a wavy line where basically on the left side one, the buyer just bought a house today. That's right at the top circle here. And then the next circle at the bottom is where the buyer 1 day later. So of course, if I just bought a house 1 day later, normally I won't buy anything. The next time I will buy a house basically could be about 3 or 7 years to 10 years later when the buyer will buy again from me. So the question is, how do I know within the 7 years period that a person want to buy? Is that basically this is where follow-up comes in. You need to follow up with the person on a regular basis to the point that when he's close to when he wants to buy, you know. So we define a quality lead normally when the person is very close to when he wants to buy. But most of us really don't know. So there's actually no bad leads. When the lead is down here, it's not a quality lead because the person is just not ready yet. He just bought one house. He's not ready to buy. But if you begin to track the person down, eventually you'll come very close to the buying. And the person will say that, okay, Josh has contacted me for the last 1, 2, 3 years. So I'll be the agent number 1 or number 2 on his mind. So I've gained the mindshare position that if there's anyone that can help me, Josh will definitely be one of them. So your name needs to be the same.
Josh, can I add something here?
Can, please.
Can you just leave this chart here? This is a very important chart. And in my 16 years of real estate experience, based on the conversations and based on the data I think I have based on my own personal transactions, And this is one finding that I think is universal. And I think it's applicable to everyone. And here it is. This is the powerful secret. If you have time, if you have a piece of paper and a pen, write it down and remember this for life, because this is a formula for your success. The richer the person is, the more frequent he will buy. If you find it difficult to follow up with people, find the richer people. Follow up with them more often. The more money they have, the more frequent they will buy, whether it's for investment, for own stay. I have sold property. Jennifer asked a very good question, make a very good statement just now, Jennifer Wong. And she said that my example earlier about 7 buyers was investors, and that's true. I have, they're stingy, but they will still buy if it's a good deal. They will still buy. It's just that they will just negotiate and haggle with you, right? Doesn't mean they will buy easily. They will still buy. So you're right, Harjinder. They are quite stingy. You're right. They want to get the best deal. What I'm saying is, even for buying for own stay, I see the pattern of rich people changing house, upgrading more frequent than the people who has lesser money. I have experienced before a buyer that bought a house for me 2 years. For 2 years, staying in the semi-D. When the company went listed, I always follow and congratulate Mr. Tan. I saw your company just got listed and you just managed to have this market cap of this so much. No, by the way, just to let you know, there are some listings here available for you. Guess what? Sold the house through me, bought another house from someone else. Right? But at least he sold, right? So there's a transaction going on and he bought another house from someone else. So what I'm saying is this, that the richer and the one that has more cash or more ability to income in their business or in their life, in their work, right, will buy more frequent than those who have lesser money. And there's a cycle. Every time when a life cycle changes, likely they will change homes. Likely. Now, I'll give you the definition of life cycle. When I'm single, when I'm married, when I have kids, when I have mother-in-law. I'm speaking for myself. When I'm single, when I'm married, when I got a mother-in-law, and now I got a dog. So I changed houses because of factors like this. If you don't stay in touch with them to understand their life cycle journey, right? Basically, that's being in relationship with them. You wouldn't know when they will buy. So these are the things that you need to ask questions. You need to be aware of. That's your yellow card. The white card and the yellow card. So that's your yellow card. Does that make sense, Josh? Would that helpful?
Yes, thanks. Okay, and this one here, I'm going to go a little bit quickly because we still have quite a bit more to cover before the time is up. But these are systematically communicate with your database. So we build a database. We systematically communicate to your database. This is where you go in and use the 19 to connect, and then the 36 convert. And this is a sample of the way you do that. So 19 to connect, you use 4 touches, quarterly phone call, 12 touches of monthly email, newsletter, or market reports, or you can send 1 touch, which is an annual event, party, movie, or whatever. So this is where you need to personalize it. What is it you can do today to your clients? And it doesn't have to be that many. You could be saying that I want to do just 4 things with my client. So having a quarterly call with them is one thing they can do, or basically having within 1 year, if you touch the clients twice, there's 24 touches. So it doesn't mean you have to follow exactly what is in the system. You need to figure out what is good for your clients and then begin to have something that can communicate to them on a systematically and a consistent basis. Now this one here, I'm going to show some slides here, but if you have time, I wanted to go into command because command is functioning. But this is where in command, you actually see the fact that there's a contact, there's a task, there's a smart plan. And what you're seeing here is a contact of the clients. So for example, Cheryl here, one basically is a seller staying in Subang Jaya Boulevard, and there is his property is under listing. I also have categories where I put out a person, the owners, but the owner has bought from me, or the owner has rented properties from me, or buyers basically. So in some ways, you need to have a lot of different tags and go in and classify. This text allows you to go in and do a lot of campaigns for the client. If you go into command, I can easily show you basically how to key in the context and then go in and look at this text. The other thing in the command also that you have is that you have all these plans, which is the bi-weekly plans, 8x8 plans, quarterly plans, midterm plans. You can also create a plan from scratch. And like I say, it doesn't take, it's not difficult. You just need to understand how to do that. Why you need that plan, and what is the purpose for that. And you can also use command to design you know, the templates for sale, for listings, for pricing, neighborhood snaps, open house. So there are a lot of tools that is in command that you can actually use today to go in and follow up with your clients. You know, so this is better to go in to do it for maybe a one day workshop for a couple of hours to do that. So if you're keen on a workshop one, maybe you can write now that you are keen on a workshop, that we can organize a workshop for 2 or 3 hours where you can go into to look at command and design and customize a template that you can actually go in and follow up with the clients, or a smart plan to go through and do that. So when you use it, that's when you learn the most. Lead generation leads to call. How many people do you need to call to generate enough leads to meet your income goal of 200 appointments? So based on the economic model, my goal was I need to have 200 appointments. So if 200 appointments at a ratio for the MEC group 12 to 2, 6 to 1, that means I need to have 1,200 contacts in my database. So for you, you need to figure out what is your appointments. Your appointments could be more, could be less. And it doesn't mean that appointments more is better. This is just that the transaction value is lower, 500,000. So if your transaction per deal is higher, you basically don't need so many appointments or so many deals, okay? So this is important because now I need to figure out how to generate 1,200 contacts from my database in order to go in to get my 200 appointments. I showed you yesterday also. I'm going to show this a little bit because another way to look at it is that you're saying, Josh, if I don't go in and call those people itself, I really have people in my database. So in your database, if you have 200 in a database, and the 10% of them, 10% of your people in the database convert, and your own conversion ratio is that out of the people that are interested one, you can convert 50% of them. So that means there are 10 opportunities to close with a database of 200. And you look at your goal. If my goal is 25, working backwards 110, 50% conversion, I will need 500 contacts in order to reach my goal. So basically, if I'm actually having 10 today, I need 25. I need to figure out how to get the difference, the 300 contacts. Where can I find to make sure that my goals are? So this is looking at your current database and decide how many more do you need. This is another way to look at calculating the leads for yourself to work through. Because these people you don't have to call that much. These are people already in your database. It's whether your conversion is 50%, 100%, or lower. I'm using 15%. Just a quick slide here. We need to be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. And the reason is because prospecting based is a lot time consuming, is proactive, and it produces immediate results. Marketing marketing is money intensive, passive, and long-term results. It's slower. So key is to do both. But today in market shift, we need to be prospecting based. And you look at basically prospecting based, the key is 90% of the business comes from 5 sources or less. You don't have to do everything you're doing today. You're saying basically what are the top 5, or rather what are the top 3 things that you're doing that if you put all the effort on those 3 things will generate the results for you. And we're going back to the 80-20 rule. 20% of activities produces 80% result. Go back and work through what are the 3 top things that you do that generate the results for you. And these are some of the examples of the things that you can do, prospecting and marketing. If you can take a minute, take a picture of this one snapshot, when you go back and work through. Prospecting is phone or face-to-face. What are some things that you can do? And out of this 21, what are the top 3 or 5 they can list through? And then from there, you need to figure out, it's not just saying you want to do this, you must also look at the evidence. What is it you have done over the last few years that has given a result? And the result speaks for itself. You need to look at the data. What is the data telling you? What is bricks telling you about closing in that area? Are they closing in that area? What are your colleagues and your transaction locally in a market center saying? So look at that and then figure out what prospecting source you want to do. And then also look at the marketing side to look at some of the examples there. This person you also know, his name is Matt Teeter. I share a little bit because let's say you're getting one webinar, but actually you're getting 3 webinars altogether because I'm summarizing 2 for you to give it extra bonus value. what basically Matt did is basically he has a certain phrase that was very good. He said education is a new lead generation. And I think it is because you need to learn to educate the clients how to buy properties, how to view properties, how to transact properties today. And he also mentioned today we are real estate agents, but we need to pick up sales skills, selling skills. What are you doing to improve your selling skills? And he gave us a simple way to deal with objections. He calls it the feel, felt, and found by Zig Ziglar. I understand how you feel. I know people that felt the same way and found a way of dealing with it. I know how you feel about the price being expensive. I know of people that felt the same way about the properties there, but I found that the people, when they look at the pricing, they realize that it's not comparing apple to apple. You know, the way they look at the property is slightly different. The location looking at is different. So use that to go in and deal with objection. And he looks at a need analysis. Now this one here, if I ask Jonathan to come in, he will take another hour to share a need analysis because this is his favorite. But main thing is basically there are 4 questions you need to ask. What are your goals? Why are they important to you? How are you doing with your goals? And the last one is, what is stopping you from getting to your goals? What is the gap? What is the challenges that you're not able to reach your goals? And what are your obstacles? He also shared success is sequential. Don't break the chain. And that one spoke to me. Don't break the chain, because when you have a thinking itself, the way to do it is that you need to go in and do a behavior. The behavior leads to a habit. Don't break the chain of the behavior that will result in a habit being formed. 3 hours every day for 1 year and you will be rich. How many of you believe that? That if you put in 3 hours of lead generation every day, you will be rich. That means you will hit your goal. You achieve more than what the goal is. It requires you to change your behavior. It requires you to sleep early. It requires you to go in and work with some other people that help you be accountable to do that. Because you just don't do 3 hours without knowing what to do. But once you know how to lead gen for 3 hours and you're calling maybe 10 to 20 people, your success ratio becomes higher. Success is sequential, one at a time. And he shared about the rule of 5, the dollar producing activities. It's important because lead generation, lead follow-up, and appointments, these are the 3 top producing activities. The other thing is negotiation and practice and role play. These are things, friends, that we need to do on a day-to-day basis, because these are the ones that will give us the result that we want. It took Matt about 1.5 hours to share that, and this is what I've learned. So I hope they benefit from you, because these are the things that if people share, we need to do that and learn from them. The other thing that I've learned is basically besides lead generation, you also need to figure out how to close. And I came up with this one that I'm working with a group of people, and I think this is something that we want to do in the market center, that those people that have attended one of our classes, Ignite, or going through, is for them to commit to joining a session that is in the morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Commit to 2 hours with a group of people to figure out how to lead gen together. And that group will keep you accountable for that. Now, this group that you join one needs to have a commitment. That means you must be able to commit that you are going to be there. How many sessions? Do the preparation. Be willing to track what they're going to do that, so the results actually show. Because if you're doing on your own, you might not do that. And when you do that one, there are 4 things that you do. You will capture the data. That means you actually call the people. You'll connect and build rapport with them to find out whether they're able, ready, and willing. And what it means that if they're able means that they are financially able to buy. They're ready, that means they're ready to actually go in and make a decision to buy. And they are willing to take action to buy. Are they able, ready, and willing to go through that? And the last one is that you want to cultivate them, that if they don't buy immediately, in this case, if they don't give you an appointment immediately, you cultivate them to go through that. So I'm not going through the whole process. I'm saying this is going to learn to go in and prospect and do prospecting in order to generate an appointment. This could be an appointment to a sales gallery, an appointment to meet the owner for listing. Now, if you can do that this year and join a group of people that can do that, I think you will see a greater success. And the challenge that you have is that you might say, Josh, but I don't know what script to use. You should have attended Abang Ikwan's Ignite session yesterday, because you went through a role play or just talking with people so that their fear of having objection is not there. It's a process you have to actually go through. 4 steps to lead conversion process. You must be willing to go in and put down your buyers into a pipeline. You must time block to make sure that you have the follow the schedule. Like I mentioned, you block. If it's not in your schedule, you won't do it. And the time blocking requires you to prepare, take action, and maintain. There's some things you'll do, but when you go into the session, we will guide you through the sessions to help you. For those that are in Keller right now, you can go back to your market and think through. But the main thing is you must be willing to make a commitment, because we just don't want anyone to join and come together but not able to show up or make it happen. And the last one is that keep yourself accountable, because the success ratio is 76.7%. And that when you set a goal, you do the activity, you measure the results, you evaluate whether you're hitting the goals or not, and then you make adjustments. So if you set a goal to go in and make 20 calls, you make the 20 calls and you measure the results. Why the calls are not successful? You go back in and then evaluate the process with a group or by yourself or with your coaches, make the adjustments, and then redo the process all over again. Because lead generation is very simple. Prospecting and marketing, organizing our database, and then going in to cultivate and nurture relationships to the point you have an appointment. Once an appointment, the rest of the process actually would go through. Okay, let me just, that's all that I have for today. Now, I don't know if you have questions, I can put it in the chat box because we still have about 15 minutes, but I do want to have some time for questions, that you have, and just to summarize what you have been learning. I hope this session has been helpful for you all. I went a little bit faster to the end. Now, if I have time, I would have gone into command and show you, but I think to go through and do a proper command to show how to do that, it'll probably take about 2 hours to make sure you know how to do it, because you just don't want to know in theory, but you want to see how it's being done.
Hey, George, can you go back one slide before this? Someone's asking for one slide before this. Is this the one, Susan? Which one, Susan? Is it this one? Or this one? One before this?
One before this. This is Ben.
This one? No. After or before?
Before time block is it? Before time block is this one?
After this. Move forward. Forward
one.
some more. Forward some more.
This one.
This one?
There's no more slide already. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
George, you say you wanted to go through command and show something, is it?
Okay, because of time, it's almost coming to 12 already. I show some of the screens, but if you want, I can go into command also, no issue.
Maybe you can just go quick to command straight away, so that I think that will bring more value to people here today.
Okay.
Yeah.
You all can see this screen over here. Now this screen basically is the command screen. Then when you go in the command, basically on the left side, you have the context, you have the task, you have the smart plan, you have the referral. Work through that. And the first thing that you do is that in the command, you go into add command on the top side, and you go in and basically go in and key in the listings. So in this case, if you go in and key in listings, you key in the name. I just watched a movie, Lord of the Rings, so Frodo is on my mind. Frodo the Hobbit. Huh? So you just key in the person's name. And then from there, you can key in the person's phone number. And if you put a +6, it stands for the Malaysia one, 012-283-0110. That is the Hobbit's number. And then you decide in this case to go further down. You can mark the person as a lead at this point. If the person is a lead and it's not a contact, you mark it as a lead. Because I don't know much about Frodo requirement, he just called me. And then I can go into the tag and decide how to tag them. So I can tag Frodo basically at this point that he is a buyer. I select the buyer once. He is actually interested to look at Subang Jaya. I can also go in and put that custom field there. And basically he is looking at buying a bungalow. So I put a bungalow. Once I'm done, I go in and I create the context. Now, you can key in more information. So what I did is basically I just created a white card. And then as I go along, if I need to go in, I can go in and look for Frodo. Search for Frodo. And then I can go into this, and then I can continue to go and edit the. So what I'm doing basically now, if I have more information to add, and I found out later that okay, let's look at a bit more information. If I find out basically that he has an email, I can key in the email's number. I can, if he has another telephone number, I can key in. So what I'm doing is I'm adding on a lot more information that relates to Frodo, and then I save it. All I have right now is basically my white card. After that one, basically I can decide on this one here, I want to go in and this person, Frodo, will buy maybe in a year's time. So I won't need to contact him so quickly. So I'm going to put him on a smart plan. There are a few ways to put on a smart plan. Now by the way, if I put smart plan here, you can see that there are a lot of smart plans to choose from. Okay, there's the SQI, there's an 8x8 home anniversary, bi-weekly, long-term, open house, and also you can create a few of my own. George, I've created a few. I created a 3x3, and also so it's not difficult to create a plan. So once you create the plan, you can use the plan. Otherwise, you can use some of the default. So let's say for Frodo one, I want to use a default plan for him. Okay, and then I want to edit this one here. Now the smart plan for here one I want to use, I put a smart plan. I want to add a smart plan for Frodo. And I want to choose the plan from here. And the plan I'm going to choose is 8x8. I use one that's already existing one. I choose the plan and I say that I want to just activate the plan. Now under the 8x8, if you can look at it, basically this is the plan. To send a SMS, there's a sample message that I can go in and edit. And then 7 days later, I touch the person, let's grab coffee, email, and you see basically contact first name, contact last name, because you do that. So eventually you just pull the information from your database into this file. And then delay for 7 days, I make a phone call. So once I set up, I just confirm. So now I'm working off my white card already. So I just put in a smart plan 8x8 for Frodo. So the system will remind me basically how to touch base with Frodo 8 times over 8 weeks. Any question at this point? This is the simplest one that you will do, and you keep doing that one, So, and from there, if you want to, you can go in and design. This is where design comes in, design templates and campaigns to go through that. Some of the other ones, like the listings and opportunities, it's not coming up yet, but I think those are available quite soon. I will stop right here unless you have more questions, because I say it goes a lot more detail, but what you can see is it's not difficult to key in you key in the context and put a plan attached to them so that you know what to do with them. And then the system will remind you when to actually call them.
George, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
How many smart plans is active for you right now?
I've created about 30 plus already, because I've used a lot by phone calls. That means my main ones actually is a quarterly call. That means my smart plan is basically set in that every time, for every context, I will call them 4 times a year, because I think that's essential. When I go to get my emails, all that one, I will go into a more plans, because my market is such that basically they are in Subang and USJ. A lot of times phone calls is the best for me.
Can you show us your tasks on command, if you don't mind? There's a good question here by Jimmy. Will it be an auto reminder? Can you show it your task?
The task side.
Yeah, on your what do you call that? A command.
Okay. Under task over here, you can actually put a task. Let's see for task.
Can you click on task? There you go.
I did.
So this is task. So it reminds you. Yeah, so you're supposed to call Luke Skywalker on Sunday.
Right, Indiana Jones, Alfred now, because I'm playing video for
Jones was in the jungle. He had no line, so you couldn't reach him. Alfred, Linda. So these are all the tasks that will appear automatically for you. Yeah. And command is not complicated. It's just something that you have to go in there and play around with it. You will get the hang of it. It's very intuitive. Right, so I would encourage everyone who are in KW agent, you have access to command. If you don't know how to have access to command, speak to your market center administrator. But if you look at context in what do you call that? There you go. There's notes there as well.
All right. So this one is where you can put in notes, timelines, smart plans, tasks, notes. You can put in information. Generally, you can add a lot of information here. Okay.
Yeah, there's appointments set there.
Correct. You can keep track of basically what has happened with a particular client also to work through that.
So that's his yellow card. That's George's yellow card. So this is a system, a technology that enables a great follow-up system. You need this to remind you of what you need to do. Now, the thing is this, people ask me, so why can't this automatically follow up? There are certain automation in follow-up like emails and SMS and all that. But at the end of the day, there must be some conversation that is initiated from you, and you've got to make it, what do you call that, personalized. And the other thing is that in order for you to have a system like this, it helps you to kind of identify who are the most important people that you need to follow up first, so that you don't miss them out. and you still use personal touches with them while having some automated touches for those who are not so important. Does that make sense? So George, get on the phone call with people. If George, can I ask you, if you have a client right now that's keen to make a purchase in the next 1 to 2 weeks, what would you do with that person?
I will basically follow up with them 3 times. I call it, give them a 10 days of pain. For 10 days, I'll follow them very closely to make sure that they will buy from me.
So how many times will you call them? Or you
I'll
send
call at least 3 times a week.
You call them 3 times a week. Do you send messages to update them?
Correct. I'll send basically, like for example, normally for them, I'll send them a bridge report, tell them basically the price of property there. I'll also go there and update basically on the property they have seen. I will also give them a little bit of information about the area, and I will also follow up with them to say that there are a few new properties coming up. Are they interested to view this weekend also? So I want to engage with them a lot over that 1 week, so that basically they know that they don't have to go to another agent to do that.
Yeah.
So I've got all information that I can follow up quite easily. But within the 1 or 2 weeks one, you have to engage with them a lot.
So I will imagine in your context, you will tag that as a VIP or a contact tag that will let you know that this person you must be talking to 3 times a week.
Correct. Yes. That means basically this one is a very important client already. And under the smart plan one, the smart plan will actually trigger me off to make sure that I follow up with them on how many days.
There you go. So that's ready. This technology is already ready in our debug. It's already something that all agents can access and use it right now. Right? Andy, the SMS right now is still SMS. WhatsApp integration is not ready yet. It's only SMS integration. But if you have potential clients that is interested to buy in the short term, you would want to do a more personalized follow-up. Yeah. Emails integration are already there. You can send emails. For those people that are telling you that I would want to buy something 1 year later, call me back. You want to initiate email follow-ups, so you initiate an SMS follow-up that's automated. That is like a 33 touch points that could be done already right now. Okay. Any other questions or any ahas? How many of you are learning something from today's session? What are the ahas that you are learning right now? Anyone? Put in the chat box, please. Anyone? You have to be in Readfield in order to access KW Command. It is not a subscription technology. It's only exclusively for KW agents or Readfield agents. Database, absolutely, Benny. Database, building relationships, absolutely. I want to go more specific, Jimmy. Building meaningful and relevant relationships for the season. Like if you know these are the 5 buyers that is in the process of making a deal right now, or the next 1 2 months, or the next 1 2 weeks, those relationships needs to be nurtured even more frequent, right? System, smart database, save, record, build, contact. Awesome. Record, build, contact. Follow up. There you go. Thank you, Jimmy. Do not go to technology if you don't know your system. Absolutely, Saprudin. Absolutely. That's really one of the biggest aha that some of us could get. Do not go to technology if you don't know your system. Anyone else? Any other ahas or any questions that you all have? Keep in touch frequently. Absolutely, Eric. Keep in touch frequently. Okay. But before we end, can I have some announcements? Slide on, please. Market, virtual support. Just quickly share a few announcements, then we will close. Announcement, please. Announcements. Virtual support, would you want to put on announcements for me, please? Contact management, white and yellow card. That's a very big aha. Think of white and yellow card. Announcements on the screen, please. Share
Christine,
screen.
are you okay to do it? If not, I will pull it up.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Okay. So the books that we are talking about, the content that we are talking about are really based on these key books and these systems that is written in a book called $1 Million Real Estate Agent and The One Thing and The Shift. So it's available. So email us at hello@readfield.com and someone will be in contact with you on how to get all of those books. Next slide, please. This is going to happen tomorrow. I encourage everyone, if you have not signed up, please sign up for this course tomorrow. Gene Rivers is very, very tough for us to get Gene Rivers' time. I think Christine had to work with him for 3 months to book his time in advance, right? So he is a VIP in Keller Williams. He is also a KW University master, what do you call it? Master faculty trainer. There are only 50 or 60 of them in the world. He's one of them. I heard his story about how his life changed when he went through a hurricane in Florida and how he build his life and his business again. So you want to take advantage of this. It's open for public, for guests as well. Invite your friends who are in real estate. I think this is a good value opportunity for you to learn something from Gene. The lessons, the time is 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. If you're serious about your business, this is a very serious topic to go to. Next slide, please. With this, George, any last words that you want to share with your friends, our friends here today?
So like I said, continue to follow the model and build your database, systematically communicate with it, and then feed it every day.
All right. Thank you very much. There you go. Feed it every day, systematically communicate with it so that you will build a sustainable business. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I will see you at the next training tomorrow night. Sign up for Gene Rivers and for Refill Agents. We will have a 1 o'clock session tomorrow, Wednesday, for our live announcement. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good one. Enjoy your lunch and have a good rest of the day. Bye.